On Christmas Eve dinner, my grandfather came to visit and asked, "Did you like the house I gave you 2 years ago?" I stared in shock. "What house? I never received anything." Grandfather slowly turned to my parents. Their faces went completely pale. Dad's wine glass froze halfway to his lips, trembling in his grip. "Grandpa, I think you're confused," I said gently, worried about his memory. "You never gave me a house." He frowned deeply and pulled out his phone, scrolling through photos with shaky fingers. The yellow Victorian on Oak Street. 3 bedrooms, wraparound porch, that beautiful stained glass window. "I bought it cash and put it in your name for your 21st birthday." My heart stopped beating. I knew that house. I'd been living there for the past 2 years, religiously paying $1,200 every month to Riverside Property Management, sometimes working double shifts just to make rent on time. "Wait," I whispered, my hands starting to shake uncontrollably. "I know that house. I live there, but I'm a tenant." Grandpa's bushy eyebrows shot up in confusion. "Tenant? Emma, you own that house. I have the deed right here in my coat." He pulled out a thick manila folder from his coat pocket and spread the papers across our Christmas table, knocking over the salt shaker and sending Mom's carefully arranged centerpiece sliding. There it was in black and white, my full name on the property deed, dated exactly 2 years and 3 months ago. I turned to my parents, realization hitting me like a freight train loaded with betrayal. "You've been collecting rent from me for my own house." The silence was absolutely deafening. Mom's fork clattered to her plate, and I could hear the grandfather clock ticking in the hallway. "We can explain this," Dad started, his voice barely above a whisper. "Explain what?" I shouted, standing so fast my chair fell backward and crashed into the wall. "That you've been my landlord this entire time? That every month I've been handing you $1,200 of my hard-earned money?" Mom started crying, black mascara running down her carefully made-up cheeks in ugly streaks. "We were saving the money for you, sweetheart, building you a nest egg for the future." "Saving it where?" I demanded, my voice cracking with emotion and rage. Dad couldn't meet my eyes. He stared at his untouched turkey and mashed potatoes like they held all the answers to his betrayal. "We used it to pay off our credit cards, and the boat loan, and some other debts. We were going to tell you eventually, when the timing was right." My mind was racing, calculating every painful detail. For 2 years, I'd stressed about rent payments every single month. I'd worked double shifts at the diner until my feet bled, eaten nothing but ramen noodles for weeks at a time, skipped girls' nights and birthday parties because I couldn't afford them. Meanwhile, my own parents were depositing my checks directly into their personal accounts. "You made me choose between groceries and rent," I said, tears streaming down my face. "You watched me cry about money for my own house." Grandpa's weathered hands were shaking with pure rage as he carefully gathered the legal papers. $28,800. That's exactly how much they've stolen from you, Emma. $28,800. The room went dead silent, except for Mom's pathetic sniffling and the sound of my heart breaking. "But we gave her a nice place to live," Dad protested weakly, grasping at straws. "Her place?" Grandpa roared, standing up so violently his chair scraped against the hardwood floor and left marks. "You gave her absolutely nothing. You took everything she had." I thought about all those desperate times I'd called them crying about money troubles, how they'd lecture me about budgeting and financial responsibility, how Dad would smugly say, "Money doesn't grow on trees, Emma," while literally growing money from my tree. "The security deposit," I whispered, a new horrible memory surfacing. "You made me pay a $2,400 security deposit to move into my own house." Mom's sob caught in her throat. Even she knew how absolutely sick and twisted that was. Grandpa looked at me with such deep sadness in his watery blue eyes. "I wanted to give you stability, sweetheart, a solid foundation to build your entire life on. Instead, they built their vacation fund and paid for their luxuries." "Pack your things tonight," he said firmly, putting his protective arm around my trembling shoulders. "I'm changing every single lock tomorrow morning, and we're calling my lawyer first thing Monday." Dad jumped up desperately. "You can't just kick us out of our daughter's life forever." "Watch me," Grandpa said with ice-cold finality. "You had 2 years to tell the truth. Instead, you chose to rob her blind every single month while watching her struggle." As I walked toward the door with my grandfather, I turned back one last time. "I trusted you with absolutely everything I had." The look of complete shame and devastation on their faces told me they knew exactly what they'd lost, and it was so much more than money. It was their daughter.